Hello, I'm Michelle Carter. I'm a Divine Energy channel, and this is on a spur of the moment video that I've been inspired to do. I was watching a video article that I saw on Facebook about water, and I expect many of you already know from Dr. Emoto's work that energy is stored in water. But this video was saying that all water has energy stored in it, so that the energy at the top of a river is going to be very different from the energy at the bottom of the river, because as the water has travelled down the river, it will have picked up the energy from all the surrounding areas. So people who are drinking water at the source of a river will be drinking cleaner and purer water than people who are drinking it at the mouth of the river, because it will have picked up so much energy pollution on its journey down the river. And I was thinking, wow, if you were to purify and cleanse all the water in all of the world, how much is that going to raise the vibration of the whole world? And I thought that was like amazing. So it's like, okay, well, why don't I do a video and do some of the energy work, and then people can share it, and together we can really raise the vibration of the world in a very real physical way by raising the vibration of water. So let's do it. So we're going to float and purify the vibrations of all water. So floating, floating, floating. Floating and purifying all water in all rivers. Floating, floating, floating. Floating and purifying all water in all lakes and ponds. Floating, floating, floating. Floating and purifying all water in all seas and oceans. Floating, floating, floating. I can really feel that one lifting. That's really good. Floating and purifying. Sorry, I wrote a list because I knew I'd forget as soon as I came on camera. Floating and purifying all water in all reservoirs and drinking supplies. Floating. 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 Lots of energy shifting on that one. Obviously don't have a very pure drinking water supplies, which but those of us who already know about. And so that brings in a new one. So floating and purifying all water in bottled water and coming out of our taps that is intentionally got fluoride and pollutants put into it. So floating, floating, floating. As you can see, gosh, feeling quite emotional about that. There's energy releasing on our drinking water, more so than on the rivers, sea, oceans, lakes, ponds, and what have you. So I think I'm probably going to do it all again. But we also need to do all the water inside us. I mean, I can't remember the exact percentage, and it does vary depending what you're reading, but a large percentage of us, between 70 and 90% of us, is made up from water. So let's float and purify all water inside our bodies, inside all of our cells. So floating, floating, floating. And purifying, 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 and floating, floating, floating. Again, energy is shifting from there. Yeah, you can probably see that I'm rocking backwards and forwards. I do. I rock, I move, I swivel. I'm not on a swivel chair, so I'm rocking because I'm channeling energies, and the energies are moving through me, and it's not possible to physically sit still when I've got that much energy channeling through me. So I'm gonna do them all again, because it'll be interesting to see what they feel. So floating all water in rivers and lakes, floating, 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 purifying, 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 floating, floating, floating. And there's more releasing this time, but you know, as we do more energy work, we cut through barriers and we go into deeper levels, and we can access energy that we weren't able to access the first time we did the energy work. So that's why when you work with an audio or a call, then the more you listen to it, the more you're working on deeper levels, and then you finally get the breakthrough. So this is why I was inspired to do the video, because I thought of more people who watch this, the more this energy work is being done throughout the whole of the world, the more we're cleaning and purifying our water, which is so vital to everybody. We cannot exist without clean water. The more we're raising the vibration of the whole world, and the sooner we are going to shift into pure love, light, peace, joy, truth, abundance for all on earth. And you know, this awareness is very much being brought to light by the Standing Rock issue with the North Dakota pipeline, and people are starting to realize how much we need pure water, how much the oil companies are polluting all of our water. Information is coming out about how many leaks there actually are that are actually hidden from people. I've also read posts saying that top corporations, big banks, well, I don't know whether it's big banks or not, but people with a lot of money are buying up water supplies. So, you know, they have the power now. They have bought massive water supplies. We are having major droughts in some areas, and they are polluting existing water supplies. So that means that the world is going to be controlled through water, and we cannot survive without water. So the whole world can become a dictatorship where everybody has to do as they're told, or they don't get any clean water. And people who can't afford to pay ridiculous amounts for pure water are just going to die. So, you know, this is a massive global issue that is going on. This is where everybody needs to unite to shift into love, light, peace, joy, truth, and abundance for all. And when we shift from oil and fossil fuels to renewable energies, we can have abundance for all, because people have already done the energy work, the science, the technology is there. It's just that it's being kept quiet, it's not being shared, it's not being funded by governments. So to keep us reliant on oil companies and fossil fuels and corruption, basically. So the sooner we all shift into renewable energy, then there will be enough for everybody, and everybody can live in peace and happiness, and there'll be the end of homelessness, wars, and all the things that people are suffering from. So I'm going to carry on and do the rest of the list again. So I've done rivers. I can't remember what I did. I think I did rivers and lakes, and I did lakes and ponds last time. So let's do rivers, lakes and ponds all together. So floating or water in rivers, lakes and ponds. Floating, floating, floating. Purifying, purifying, purifying. Floating, floating, floating. And I can really feel that working deeper. I can actually feel my sinuses like clearing. It's quite strange how our physical bodies are holding energy for water and other things that are going on in the world. So yeah, it's amazing. People say that we are connected, and how connected we are. We are so much more connected than we would ever think is possible. So purifying water is really going to have a major positive impact on the world. So seas and oceans. So floating all water in all seasonal oceans. Floating, floating, floating. You can hear the siren. Every time I turn on a record button, there'll be outside background noise, which is obviously beyond my control. So sorry about that. seas and oceans, purifying, 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 and floating, floating, floating. Again, energy is shifting. I can feel it working deeper. I can feel it kind of thick in my head, processing, and lots in the sinuses again is clearing. And then we have reservoirs and all drinking water. So all reservoirs and all drinking water, floating, floating, floating. Lots in that. My hair's gone all over the place. Yes, purifying, 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 purifying. Just like layers and layers and layers of that. And floating, floating, floating. I've gone really hot now, so I know lots of energy is processing and lots of energy work is being done. And our body cells, so floating water inside our bodies and body cells, floating, floating, floating. Purifying, 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 floating, floating, floating. So that's lots of energy that has shifted out, and every time you re-listen and re-listen even, and somebody else listens, then it's going to do more work on the whole of our world, the whole of our planet, and obviously each time you listen, it's working on your own body and the water in your body as well. So that's win-win. I've also done a very powerful energy call. It's almost 2 hours of very powerful energy work for healing for Standing Rock, to stop the pipeline, and for global corruption. I can't talk now, there's so much energy processing, it kind of makes my mind go a little bit spaced out. So you can find a link for that on my website, which is michellecarter.co.uk, and I'll see if I can post it in the YouTube comments as well, so you can link to that. And also on YouTube there, I've got other calls that I've done for free, global healing, so you can watch and share those as well. Please do watch and share this as much as possible, because you know it's free and it can have a major impact on our world. If you understand energy and vibrations, you will realize how important it is for us all to do this and the impact that it can have. So thank you very much for watching and for listening and for sharing this powerful energy work, so we can all live in heaven on earth now. Thanks. Bye.